Good day, sir. My name is Romel Ogok, and for today's video, I will tackle about ISO. So here it goes. What is the purpose of the ISO in an institution? So before I start the question, let me first share what an ISO is. It is mean International Organization for Standardization. So this is an independent, non-governmental, and is a global organization that develops standards that works to provide standardization across an array of products and companies. So ISO standards are designed to make products and services better, to make companies, governments, and other organizations more efficient. Some standards are designed for specific industries like the food industry, or designed to help improve the environment. So its main goal or purpose in an institution is to facilitate trade, ensure the quality, safety, and efficient of products, services, and systems. Its focus on process improvement and quality in several areas. In 2019, ISO has published 22,708 international standards and associated documents to help organizations become better at what they do for just about every industry, including technology, healthcare, food safety, and agricultures. Of the many ISO standards available, 5 of the most common includes ISO 9000 is a family of quality management system QMS standards to ensure organizations produce quality products and services. This family includes the ISO 9001 standard. ISO 14000 establishes requirements for an environment management system EMS that is based on continuous improvement. ISO 27000 is a family of standards for information technology with the aim of improving information security and protecting company assets. ISO 22000 is for implementing a food safety management system. ISO 50001 is a newer standard released in 2011. It is for companies recurring an energy management system EMS for improving energy use and efficiency. So, how important is ISO in an institution? So, having an ISO certification is important for SMS because of its ability to react growth, profitability, and cost savings. The benefits of reducing waste also allows your workplace to be more efficient and establish ongoing QMS standards for improvement and sustainable customer success. Due to these ISO standards, help consumers, business, and the government is many ways. ISO standards are key for our society as they ensure quality and safety in both products and services international trade. So, like what I've said in question number 1, ISO is very important for it is the one who ensure the quality and safety in several areas. So, examples on why ISO is important. Because number 1 example is boost staff performance and overall productivity, flesh out your company's processes, reduce waste and improve efficiency, provide an improvement customer experience. And another example for this is to design to make products and services better, to make companies and governments and other organizations more efficient. So, purpose of having a occupational health and safety standard for seafarers. Occupational health and safety standards mandate reduction, removal of replacement of job site hazards. OHS programs also help minimize the effects of such hazards. Occupational health and safety considerable benefits and company as healthy employees are guaranteed to be more productive. So, it refers to a set of rules issued by DOLE which mandates the adoptions and working conditions reasonably necessary to ensure safe and healthful employments. So, what is an example of occupational health and safety standards? This includes but are not limited to chemicals, biological agents, physical factors, adverse ergonomic conditions, allergens, or complex networks to safety risks. And a broad range of psychosocial risks. Personal protective equipment can help protect against many of these hazards. So, also, it aims to promote health and safety protections and precautions of accident, injuries, disease, or deaths occurring the course of employment of seafarers on board ships through compliance with mandatory rules and regulations and standards of maritime sector. So, standards of training, certificates, and watchkeeping. The ship owner should at his or her own expensive furnish the seafarer with protective equipment for the eyes, face, hands, and feet, protective shades, and barriers whenever necessary by reason of the hazardous nature of the process of environment. So, standard of competence. Every candidate for certification shall be required to demonstrate the competence to undertake the operational level, the tasks, duties, and responsibilities listed in column 1 of table A dash level 1. At least hold an appropriate certificate for performing VHF radio communications in accordance with the requirements of the radio regulations, and if designated to have primary responsibility to radio communications during distress incidents, hold an appropriate certificates issued or recognized under the provisions of the radio regulations. Training and experience to achieve the necessary level of theoretical knowledge and understanding the proficiency should be based on the sector A dash 1 part 3.1 basic principles to be observed in keeping a navigational watch, and shall also take into account the relevant requirements for this part of the guidance given in a part B of this code. Every candidate for certification will be required to provide evidence of having achieved the required standard of competence in accordance with the methods of demonstrating competence and the criteria for evaluating competence tabulated in the column 3 and 4 of table A11-1. Onboard training. Every candidate for certification as offer in charge of a navigational watch of ships of 500 gross tonnage of or more those seagoing service forms part of the training program approved as meeting the requirements of a section shall follow on approved program on board training, which ensures that during the required period seagoing services candidate receives systematic practical training and experience in the task, duties, responsibilities, and offer in charge of navigational watch, taking in account the guidance given in section B11-1 of this code. Is closely supervised the monitored by qualified officers aboard the ships in which the approved seagoing service is performed, and is adequately is documented in training record book or similar documents. Near coastal voyages. The following restricted certificates for service or near coastal voyages, bearing in mind and safety of all ships which may be operating in the same waters, celestial navigations, and those electronic system of position fixing and navigation that do not cover the waters for which the certificate is to be valid. Every candidate for certification shall be required to demonstrate the competence and to undertake the operational level, the tasks, duties, and responsibilities. At least hold an appropriate certificate for performing VHF radio communication in accordance with the requirements of the radio regulations, and if the design to have primary responsibility for radio communications during distress incidents, hold an appropriate certificate issued to recognize under the provisions of the radio regulations. The level of knowledge of subject listed in column 2 of table A11-3 shall be sufficient to enable to candidate to serve the capacity of other in charge of navigational watch. Training and experience to achieve the necessary of theoretical knowledge and understanding the proficiency shall also based on a section A. So basic principles to be observed in keeping a navigational watch and shall take into account the relevant requirements. Every candidate for certificate shall be required to provide evidence of having achieved the required standard and competence in accordance with the methods for demonstrating competence and criteria for evaluating. Mandatory minimum requirements for things forming for part of a navigational watch standard of competence. Every rating forming part of the navigational watch seagoing ship of 500 cruise tonnage for more shall be required to demonstrate the competence to perform the navigation function of the support level as specified in column 1 of table A 11-4. The minimum knowledge understanding the proficiency required of ratings forming part of navigational watch on a seagoing ship of 500 cruise tonnage or more or is listed in column 2 of table A 11-4. Every candidate for certification shall be required to provide the evidence of having achieved a required standard of competence in accordance with the methods of demonstrating competence, the criteria of evaluating competence specified columns 3 and 4 and 4 of table A11-4. The reference to practical tests in column 3 may include approved shore-based training in which the students undergo practical testing. Where there are no tables on competence for the support level in respect to certain functions, it remains the responsibility of the administration to determine the appropriate training, assessment, and certification required to be applied personnel designated to perform those functions and at the support level. So, additional information. The most basic building blocks of personal safety and boardship is to be able to recognize that recognize what is wrong and how and why by giving separate even the most basic appreciation of hazards and allows them to appreciate the actions they need to take the protect themselves and to safeguard others. A safe and healthy workplace not only protects workers from the illness, it can also lower injury of illness cause, reduce absenteeism and turnover, increase productivity and quality, and raise employee. Moral, in other words, safety is good for business, business plus protecting workers in the right thing to do. So, that's all, sir. Thank you.